Hey, difference maker. Let's talk about 5 common reasons, maybe even the top 5, you, perhaps, but certainly many, do not practice self care, as important as we know it is. So, here from the National Institute for Health, self care means taking the time to do things that help you live well and improve both your physical and mental health. It helps you manage stress, lower your risk for illness, and increase your energy. Who doesn't want that, right? And we all could probably agree that that's true. That if we were to practice better self care, we would absolutely be able to better manage stress. We would lower our risk for illness. We'd get sick less often, and we would have increased energy. So, National Institute for Health, kudos to you. I agree 100%. And the fact is, we all know there's never been any research that says self-care is a bad thing. There's never been any research that says self-care is anything other than a good, positive thing to incorporate into your life. So why the heck don't we all do it on a regular, consistent basis? Well, I have 5 things to share with you that I have seen in my coaching over and over again, and honestly, in my own life in certain points and different stages. So here's number 1. The number 1 reason we don't practice self-care, it's selfish. We think to ourselves, if I put me first, it means putting others last. And that's wrong. I mean, most of us were brought up to put others before ourselves. I was brought up in a household that it's God, then others, then you. And maybe you were too. And so we were conditioned our entire lives, many of us, to believe that making ourselves a priority is selfish. And so we believe that when we do for ourselves, when we put ourselves at the forefront of our focus, that we're putting everyone else on the back burner. And that is just absolutely not the case. That is a misrepresentation of self-care, and it's just a wrong definition. Because the fact of the matter is this, and especially for you leaders out there, those of you who want to wake up every day and be uplifters, nurturers, difference makers, you want to be able to make a positive impact on other people's lives, it is even more critical that you practice self-care because of what the research has shown. The fact that you can help manage your own stress, reduce risk for illness, and increase your levels of energy. That version of yourself, lower stress, less illness, more energy. Is that version of you going to be better suited to uplift others or not? I say, yeah. So self-care is actually the opposite of selfish. In fact, when I've worked with many coaches and they tell me they're burned out, they're fatigued, my first question is always, what are you doing for your self-care? And 9 times out of 10, it has fallen to the wayside because they're so focused on taking care of everyone else in their lives. So self-care is not selfish. So let's nix that as a reason for not practicing self-care. It is probably one of the most selfless things you can do, because when you make sure you're the best version of yourself, which self-care is a big part of, then you can be the best version of you for everyone in your life, for your kids, your family, your closest friends, your community, those that you hope to serve through the work that you do. Okay? Number 2, I can't afford it. I've heard this. Have you heard this? Have you ever felt this? And I don't just mean money, I mean time. Time, gosh, that's a much more valuable currency than money, if you ask me, but both in time and money. The feeling that, I can't afford it. When it comes to money, there's this misconception that self-care costs money. Things like, massages and pedicures, manicures, things like that, which don't get me wrong, are lovely. And I will say a good massage is definitely a part of my self-care routine. And when I get my pedicure, you better believe I'm paying for the extra 10 minutes of foot massage. However, self-care does not have to be financially expensive. You can practice self-care day to day with small decisions that in some way, shape, or form either bring you to a place of ease or take you to a place of fun or flow. So we can talk more about that in another video. But flow, we all know flow, that flow state where we're so in the moment, we just want it to last longer. What are things that you can do in your routine that don't cost anything? Maybe it's listening to favorite music, a favorite song, reading a favorite book, going to a favorite park, just going for a walk outside, watching the sunset, knitting, gardening, dancing, yoga. What are things that you can do that fill your cup that don't cost a penny? So self-care doesn't have to be financially expensive. And then the other one is time expensive. People think that I don't have the time. And I get it. We live in a culture of go, 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 crazy busy, not enough hours in the day to get it all done. I get it, especially here in the Western world. We're very much in that culture. But again, just like the first one, that really is a conditioning that we can break free from. Because again, if self-care leads to more energy and you got stuff to get done, then doesn't it make sense that you would incorporate self-care in some way, shape, or form to give you more energy with the time that you have to get stuff done if you feel like you're juggling and such. So that said, self-care doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to be, as much as I encourage it to be, an hour-long massage. It could be a 5-minute song. It could be a few minutes in the garden. It could be a 20-minute walk outside. Okay, so it doesn't have to be financially expensive. It doesn't have to be time expensive. When you can drizzle things in throughout your day, throughout your week that are fueling to your soul, that either bring you to a place of ease, fun, or flow, that's all amazing self-care. And then, of course, let's not forget, people traditionally define self-care as taking good care of your physical health, right? So are you getting the rest that you need? Are you getting good fuel in your body, so good nutrition? And are you moving on a regular basis? I just know that it goes far beyond that. So I know you got those, the triad there. I know that you know the importance of rest and good nutrition and moving your body. And hopefully you're doing that. If not, check in on that too. But now beyond that, let's go to ease and fun and flow. What are the little things that you can do that don't cost much time and don't cost much money to be able to lend to your self-care so that you can increase your energy and lower your risk for illness and help manage your stress? Wouldn't you be more effective in all of the things that you're juggling, all the plates that you're spinning, if you had less stress, less risk for illness, and more energy? I think so, because we all have the same 24 hours in the day. It's how we manage our time and energy in that time. Okay. Number 3, I need to be the strong one. Oh, this is a big one. So this one is a disease known as martyrism, because and this one, it seems to come from the heart, but sadly it does generally come from the ego, because we want to be seen as the strong one. We want to be seen as the courageous one. We want to be seen as the one who puts everyone else before us, puts everyone's needs before our own. And that is another habit that we often will fall into, because when we do put ourselves last, sometimes we get kudos for that. It's almost like it's like a badge of honor. There are certain things in our culture and in our lives, myself for sure, that we wear as badges of honor that are not helpful. So I encourage you, if you tend to um, put yourself last and see it as like a badge of honor, it makes you the strong one, reevaluate that. Because putting yourself last and only taking care of everyone and everything else is not a sign of strength. A sign of strength is making yourself a priority because you know it's actually going to benefit everyone and everything else. So that's number 3. Number 4 is a lack of awareness. Sometimes we get so caught up in our routines, we get so caught up in the day-to-day that we quite literally don't really notice when we need self-care, when we need a boost of that self-care. I've probably felt guilty of all of these, but this one I definitely have fallen prey to, and that is that I've just been so in autopilot mode that I don't realize I'm lacking self-care until I hit a wall. And so I encourage you to Do what you need to do on a regular basis. For me now, it is daily. So I would encourage that daily to have some kind of presence practice, some kind of practice that brings you into the moment. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's prayer, maybe it's a gratitude practice or a breathing practice. Doesn't have to take any more than 5 minutes. So if you're time starved, it doesn't have to be a huge investment of time, but something that brings you into the moment so you can really check in with yourself and gain the awareness to understand, am I in a good, healthy place with lower stress and feeling really good and high levels of energy? All the things that we know self care will lead to. Because if not, then that is going to be a red flag right there that self care needs to be part of your plans in the very near future. So I've gotten really good at checking in with myself and kind of creating that awareness as I start to feel, and you'll learn in your body there's other things that you'll feel. Maybe you'll get, sore in the neck. Maybe you'll get headaches or just start feeling fatigued. Your body will talk to you. When stress starts to outweigh self-care, your body will start speaking to you, and that's the awareness you need to tap into. So if you make self-care part of your regular routine, it's much less likely you're going to start to feel the negative physical effects of heavy levels of stress kind of tackling you, unless something happens in life that is out of your control. Of course, that happens to all of us. Things that can be, whether mundane or traumatic, can hit us out of nowhere, or sometimes so it seems. But sometimes, yeah, we don't see it coming. And then we've got to manage that scenario. But just day to day, can you incorporate self care into your routine? Things that bring you to ease, fun, and flow, in addition to getting good rest, fueling your body well, and moving on a regular basis. What can you do that brings you to ease, fun, and flow to basically help kind of build that fortress of strength so that when stress hits, you're not being kind of beaten down by it and brought to a place of fatigue and burnout. Um, but sometimes, we do get in a routine. We get in a routine. Maybe it's a project that we're working on. I've even been recently guilty of this. There's a project I'm working on, something that I have a certain number of days or weeks to get done. And so I just want to we want to plow through, right? We want to get to the other side of it. We want to have accomplished what it is we set out to do. That always feels really good, right? So if you find yourself in routine, just check in. Just check in with yourself. I would recommend daily, but at least a few times a week, and just say, how am I doing? How am I doing? Do I feel like I'm rested? Do I feel like I have good energy, good health? I don't feel overwhelmed or too stressed? Because if I feel any of those things, then my next question is, okay, what can I do in the next day or two to promote my self-care? Because what I know to be true is that if I promote my self-care, if I nurture that part of my life, I will have reduced stress and lower risk for illness and increased energy. And those are the things that I need to keep moving on this project or this thing I want to accomplish. Okay. So check in, gain the awareness. Don't stay on autopilot. Shift yourself into manual mode on a regular basis and check in. And then finally, and this I've seen all too often with clients that I've coached over the years, and I pray and I hope that you don't ever deal with this. But the fact is, I think that most all of us deal with this at some point, and I certainly did for many years in my life. And that is a low foundation of self-worth. Often we don't care for ourselves because we don't think we're worth it. Everyone else is worth it. We respect and love and care for everyone around us. But when it comes to ourselves, often the worthiness becomes a struggle for whatever reason. For whatever reason, everyone has their life experience and the story of the life that they've lived and all the reasons for why they don't feel maybe good enough. I think we've probably all felt it, at least in stages of our lives. I certainly have felt it. And I know that when I was in a stage of not feeling good enough, the last thing I was worried about was self-care. The last thing I was worried about was doing things that would improve my overall well-being and energy levels and make sure I don't get sick and help me manage stress. I didn't think I was worth it. And I have found that when I've coached clients, even when we talk about the importance of self-care and we map out a routine and they commit to the routine and then we come back together and they haven't done the things, 9 times out of 10, it always stems back to self-care, a lack of self-worth, a lack of self-worth. And so it's really hard to have a strong self-care routine unless you have a strong sense of self-worth. So please, if you haven't heard it today, allow me to be the one to tell you, you are worthy. You don't have to do anything to become worthy or to stay worthy. You just are worthy. The day you were born, your entire life, just being here, you are worthy. You are worthy of your love, your respect, and all the self-care in the world needed to have you feel that your cup is not only full, but overflowing, which gives you the ability to be there for others, which then boosts self-worth. It's just this beautiful secular thing. But you are worthy. You don't have to wait until you've accomplished something or attained something to become worthy. You don't have to wait for anyone else to tell you you're worthy, including me. But here I am telling you, you're worthy. You are worthy of the self-care you deserve, that we all deserve. So I really wanted to touch on this today because in last week's message, I had talked about the importance of having harmony and alignment in life, our life kind of being in agreement with our philosophy of living our best life, as opposed to thinking about it as life balance. And I touched on, for a moment, self-care, and I promised I'd bring that back in another video. And a couple of you asked me to do that this week. So here it is, self-care. Could not be more important, and is proven to help you manage stress, reduce instances of illness, and improve your energy levels. Tell me you don't want those 3 things. I want those 3 things. So if you want to be able to better manage stress and reduce the times you get sick and increase your energy, let me know in the comments, what are you going to do in the next few days for your self-care? I'll give it to you that you might be super busy. I know we all are. I get it. But within the next few days, I'm not going to say in the next day, you might have it all mapped out already. Cool. But in the next few days, you got to be able to plug something in if you don't already have it for your self-care. And don't let those 5 reasons, don't let those worms creep into your mind of, well, it's selfish. If I put myself first, that means I put others last. No, wrong definition. Self-care is not selfish. Self-care means that you care enough about showing up in this world as the best version of you so that you can be there for others. Forget about that. I can't afford it. Okay. It does not have to be money expensive, and it doesn't have to be time expensive. You can invest $0 and just a few minutes a day to focus on your self-care. In addition to getting good rest, good nutrition, and moving your body, just think of something else each day you can do for just even 5 minutes that will lead you to a place of ease, fun, or flow. Something that will just make you laugh. Let's fill your cup a little bit, okay? So forget that I can't afford it. You don't have to go to a fancy spa to say it's self-care. You can take care of yourself day by day incrementally. And forget that I need to be the strong one. That was reason number 3. I have to be the strong one. No, you don't. And the fact of the matter, in the way that you're looking at it, the fact of the matter is, though, to be strong, if it is important to you to be strong for your family, for those that you nurture and uplift, all the more reason for self-care. All the more reason. So forget the, I have to be strong, so I got to take care of everyone else and not me. If I need to be the strong one, if I need to be the rock, well, guess what? The rock has to be taken care of so that others can lean on the rock. So take care of yourself first. Fill that cup, as Jan van Sant says, until it is overflowing, and so you can give from the excess and never feel tapped dry. Lack of awareness, that was number 4. Don't suffer from a lack of awareness. Easy to do. Get off autopilot. Get yourself into a presence practice. I suggest daily, just a few minutes where you check in with yourself. Maybe just sit for a few minutes and do some breathing, brings you into the moment. Presence practice is nothing more than practicing being present. And it can be done through prayer, meditation, breathing techniques. So sit with that just for a few minutes and check in. How am I doing? How am I feeling? Okay. How's my stress level? Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling pretty good in my body, health-wise? And what's my energy level like? And if any of those answers are what you don't want to hear, that means your next question is, what can I do for my self-care? Because we know it's going to boost all those areas. Okay. And then finally, the self-worth. The low self-worth will lead to a lack of self-care all day, every day. And I just really want to encourage you to remember, it was actually, I think it was the Buddha said, you, as much as anyone in the universe, deserve your love and affection. So please remember how worthy you are. You don't need to hear it from me, but you're hearing it anyway. You are incredibly worthy. You are worth the love and the respect and the self-care that is required to ensure you're living your best life and the fullness of who you are as the best version of you. And then bring that to the world. I promise you, not only you will benefit, but everyone around you will benefit, which ultimately, with half of these reasons, we tend to use these as reasons for not practicing self-care because we're focused on others, right? Well, let your desire to be there for others be your number one reason for self-care. Flip the script there. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is one thing you're going to do that you already have scheduled? Share that. Give us ideas. Inspire me, inspire us. What are you going to do for self-care in the next few days? That's what I have for you today. Thank you, whether you checked it out live or you're catching this later on. I really appreciate it. Any questions you want answered, any topics you want to cover, obviously I hear you, I get your messages, and I will gladly show up. Actually, set aside another topic I have for today because this one came through on a couple different messages. So I am here ready to take on any questions you have or requests. So say the word. But until our paths cross again, please just know that I am sending you so much love. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others.